Hi, my name is Arno Chow. This is my sign name. I want to talk to you about getting access in the workplace when you're a deaf person and the funding that the government provides for deaf people in the workplace. I moved here from New Zealand about 2.5 years ago, and I came to the Deaf Society of New South Wales and asked them for help in looking for a job and to see if they could help me by providing interpreters while I was looking for a job and when I got a job. But they found out that because I was a New Zealand citizen, I wasn't eligible to become a client in their service. So they said, sorry, we actually can't help you. So that was a barrier that was placed on me from the start. So I thought, well, what am I going to do? I still need to look for a job. So before I did that, I decided to go and do a forklift course. I had to pay for it out of my own pocket because the government wouldn't provide any funding to cover it. So I paid and I went to the course. There was unfortunately no interpreter provided because, again, the government wouldn't pay for it. So that meant I did the 2-day course without an interpreter. A lot of the information went over my head. There was a large group of us and they all got to hear the information, but I didn't. I had to wait until they were finished and I went home and then I got to read the book and look at the photos and study all the information that we got given. English isn't my first language, so it was hard work reading through all the information that I'd been given, but I wanted to do it to make sure I could understand as best I could before I tried to do the test. I was lucky that when I did the test I did pass and get my license, but if I'd had an interpreter during the course I would have learnt so much more. I would have also been able to participate more and ask questions about what to do in certain situations. And I would know more about the dangers of being a forklift driver. But as it is, I only got to learn what was in the book, and that was it. I wasn't able to ask questions of the teacher. So I got my forklift license, and then I went and looked for a job. A lot of places said they wanted an interview with me, but again, there was no interpreter provided. So then I had to try and work out how to communicate with the employers on my own. Most of the time, they didn't give me the job. But then I was lucky and I did get a job. The company is called Sterling Parts Australia. So they gave me a job, and the job was as a forklift driver and as a store person in their warehouse. I worked there for 3 weeks and it was going really well. But then the boss said that I needed to come and have a meeting with him. So I did. And he said that he had a problem. He had a problem with communication. And the reason is because the warehouse is really large. And my other workmates who are hearing can hear the announcements that are said over the PA system. So then they know if there are new instructions given and if they need to go and do something else. But for me, I can't hear those announcements. I'm just focusing on my work. So that means that my boss has to come out of his office and walk down into the warehouse to come and look for me if he needs to give me new instructions. And he has to find me so we can have that face-to-face conversation in the very large warehouse. That way I'll know what I need to do next. So then we thought, oh, maybe we could get a pager system. So then he could page me from his office and then I would know that he needed to speak to me and then I could come to him and that would save him a lot of time. So I decided to contact the Deaf Society to see if they could help us, give us some information on where we could find out what we could do to solve this communication problem. The employment service person came out, and her name is Danica Pubic. And she came out to see if she could help, even though I'm not eligible for their service. She met with my boss and she explained about our different options and showed the boss all the things we could do. But the boss said, well, I'm not going to pay for those changes though. So the boss said that I would have to pay myself, or we'd have to get government funding. But I'm not eligible for government funding because I'm not an Australian citizen. And I couldn't pay for it myself, so I lost my job. So after that, I had to go back to the drawing board and look for a new job. I had the same problem again in interviews where there was no interpreter, but again I got lucky and I found another job. At Gregory Commercial Furniture. And it's the same type of role there. I'm a forklift driver and a store person. So far I've been working there for 1 month now and everything again is going well. But we've had one problem already. They often get higher management to come out and give announcements to the staff. But again, there's no interpreter provided and so I miss the information that is given. I have to wait until the presentation is over and then I have to ask my boss or I have to ask my workmates what was said. And because I work there, I have a right to know what's going on. But there's no interpreter provided, so I don't get that equal access. Even in a small meeting, it's the same problem. I miss the information that's being said because there's no interpreter provided. That means that my workmates or my boss have to repeat everything that gets said so that then I understand what's going on. And I feel that I'm at risk of losing my job again because maybe they'll get frustrated at having to do that. And over time, they'll get sick of having to do that with me because it will take them so much extra time and then they'll let me go. But I'm paying tax on the income that I'm earning. So I don't understand why I don't get provided funding in the workplace. Why I'm not eligible for interpreters in the workplace to assist me with communication with my boss. Why I'm not eligible for interpreters at the doctor. All these barriers are being placed in front of me just because I'm a New Zealand citizen. My other New Zealand friends have the same problem. They've moved here as well. And they have all these barriers put up for them as well, simply because they're not Australian citizens. I have rights to access this funding in the workplace to help me do my job. I'd like to have that equal access the same as deaf Australians do. They get to access interpreters and funding support and support from the Deaf Society, and I don't. Thank you for listening to me today.